Back in about 2018 was when I realized that there was a gap in the market here in Australia for good marshmallows. Growing up in a entrepreneurial family, my mindset was always opportunities. How do I look for opportunity? So that's how my mind is wired. And so then I just thought I should just make my own marshmallow. I'll just Google, YouTube, and see what's out there. So for my son's first birthday, so I made raspberry marshmallow using like real raspberry puree, and it was delicious and the guests loved it. And then that light bulb moment went off in my head and I'm just like, oh my goodness, the ingredient cost is really low. It was sustainable as in durable with the marshmallow, long shelf life. There's no baking. The biggest thing was I was like, you know what? I think this is scalable. Can you reproduce this in a mass production environment?
Hey guys, welcome to the Realized Gains podcast. I'm Stephen Tran. I'm a multifamily investor and short-term rental investor, and I'm also a realtor in the state of Oregon and Washington.
And I'm your co-host, Jordan Lee. I'm a mortgage lender based in Portland, Oregon, and I'm licensed in about 8 other states. And I also invest in single-family homes as well. Today we have a super special guest for you. She's actually a former client of mine that is based in Australia now, and so she started with a $50,000 cash out refinance, which she turned into a $1.5 million business.
Yeah, and she has a great story. Cambodian refugee, family started a donut shop.
In LA,
Yeah, started their own business, and eventually she started her own business, which is pretty amazing. A great story of basically coming from rags to riches.
Yeah, Cloud Theory Marshmallow, check it out. It's in all the Costco's in Australia, and hopefully it'll soon be in the Costco's in here in the US.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 52 of the Realized Gains podcast. I'm Stephen Tran.
And I'm your co-host, Jordan Lee here, and we're super excited to do our first virtual podcast. We have May Pike on the computer here, actually. She's joining us from Australia, and it's really fun. So, May, do you want to just give your background a little bit and talk about your story, kind of how you got started, and then eventually how you got into real estate and then business?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So my name is May Pike, and I now live in Australia. And what I've done here is I've started a brand called Cloud Theory, which is a gourmet marshmallow brand. And what happened was, so I met my husband back in 2012, I'm originally from Los Angeles, met my husband who's Australian.
Wait a second. I thought there was more of a story to that. I thought even before that, there was like an immigrant story.
Oh yeah, for sure. So going way, way back.
Yeah.
My parents immigrated from Cambodia. They were refugees, basically escaped the war in Cambodia during the Khmer Rouge regime. And I was born in a refugee camp in Thailand.
In Thailand, okay.
And we then, we actually, back in Thailand, my parents had an option. They were sponsored to both Australia and the US.
Oh, okay. So they had a choice.
They had a choice. We had family living here in Adelaide,
and
we had family living in Utah who both sponsored us. And my dad decided, let's go to the US. It's a larger country.
What did he do? He flipped a coin, or was he like, there's more opportunity there? Or what?
Yeah, I guess he weighed up his options and just thought, you know what, the US is a bigger country. We'll take our chance there. And so we ended up in Utah, of all places.
Wow.
So you could imagine coming from a subtropical country like Cambodia, landing in the middle of America in Utah in winter. They've never experienced snow before. It was
just in Salt Lake, or was it in one of the smaller towns?
The smaller towns is called Fillmore.
Okay.
So I don't remember it at all. I was probably about 2.5, 3 years old when we arrived there.
Okay.
But so they worked for the Dole Mushroom Factory. That's, these big corporations would sponsor a lot of the refugees.
Yep.
So
Working in those
massive. Yeah.
yeah.
They spent a few years in Utah, and then eventually moved west to California, where it was a lot warmer.
Okay. And what did they do to move over? Were they in some kind of, did they have other family connections or?
Yeah, so my cousins, my aunt, my uncles, they started moving out to the US, to Los Angeles first.
Okay.
And that's how my parents, followed after them. And I come from a very like entrepreneurial, I'd call it hustling family. Like everyone, my aunt, my uncles. So they started a clothing factory in Long Beach, California.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they were sewing garments.
Uh-huh.
And so my parents then went to go work for them.
Okay.
And then eventually from there, my dad went into like a baking job for a donut shop.
Nice.
And trade there. And you know how it is in immigrant community, like like the Koreans with their nail shops.
Yeah. Cambodians with the pink
donut
shops, right?
Yeah. So what happened is one family would start in a donut shop, hire other Cambodians, and eventually the baker would then go open a donut shop, and then that's how it starts, right?
Right.
So my dad eventually works as a baker for a while, and then both of my parents, like I said, are very entrepreneurial, thought, let's save our money and try to open our own shop. So they eventually opened a donut shop in El Segundo, California, which is right near LAX.
Okay. So it's a little smaller town, probably didn't have a bunch of like competing donut shops or something.
Yeah, that's right. So they basically bought it off another Cambodian family.
Right.
Who was ready to move on to bigger and better things. But in this community, we came from a community where there was a lot of Cambodian immigrant, a Cambodian community, to now a city where we were the only Asians there.
Right.
That was a unique experience, but at 9 years old, I was already kind of put to work, helping my parents out every weekend, standing on a milk crate to reach the cash register. But it was for me, I look back and I'm like, wow, what a blessing in disguise to have had that upbringing, because I immediately just learned how to communicate with customers, what I call it shoot the shit with customers.
Right.
You just learn how to every day have a conversation with them. I learned how to be super resourceful, just being able to move beyond my comfort zone all the time, and being the oldest in my family, I had to kind of be the family translator, the person
right. English wise, compared to your parents, it was probably a lot easier for you too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. My parent only spoke broken English, so I had to be always the one translating for them, setting up phone utilities for them, everything. So from an early age, I just kind of learned how to be super resourceful and independent.
And I mean, I'm guessing you probably looked at like real estate documents for them and that type of stuff as well. That's pretty common in the industry.
Everything. So it really taught me now to be a competent business person because of that, just being able to early on applying for university, applying for financial.
You had to do it all yourself, like, whereas for me at least, it was like, okay, my parents are like kind of like making sure I get that taken care of. Right?
I did mine by myself too. Did my FAFSA by myself. Yeah.
Steven, you could relate. So sometimes you could look back and sometimes I tell people I never truly had a childhood because I was forced to kind of grow up really early. But you can look at it in two ways. You can look at it as a victim point of view, or you can look at it from a perspective of like, wow, what an amazing opportunity I had to have that kind of upbringing, so that now I'm such a well-rounded, more self-sufficient, resourceful person. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I would say it's a blessing. It's like being thrown in the fire early. Like you learn all these things, you have to adapt, you figure things out. And I mean, honestly, we get such a head start in our adulthood and maybe a little bit of trauma too, but no.
Okay, so
Yeah, for sure.
you're helping your family run the donut shop. What was the next step? Like going to college? What did you decide to do after that?
Yes, so I went to college, and in college, I always knew that I wanted to eventually like run a business because I saw the opportunity that it gave my parents. Coming
Mm.
from absolutely nothing, I knew that all I needed was hard work, determination, and a positive attitude,
Mm.
right? And because I'm not your typical Asian who's like super smart and like intelligent, you know what I mean?
You weren't
But
like, I'm going to be a doctor, an attorney,
no,
engineer when I
no.
grow up. You
I
were
knew
like, I'm
I
going to
was
run a
never going to
business.
be a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, any of that path. But I knew I had like really, like I had drive and had determination and I had hard work. And I knew that having those three things in business would take me far. So I majored in business in college. And then I went away to Hong Kong as an exchange student for 1 year. And that's really where
Oh,
my love
nice.
for real estate came in.
Interesting.
Because there,
What year was this that you were in Hong Kong?
my junior year in college, so my the second to last year,
And what, sorry, what
graduating.
calendar, what year was that?
Third year.
Or, I mean, in time,
Oh, in time, 2004-ish,
oh,
2004.
2004. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
do you remember what your rent was in Hong Kong then? Because the Hong Kong real estate market is just nuts, right?
Yeah, it is. But well, I didn't. So when I went out there, I was still in university,
Okay.
and what my love for real was seeing those skyscrapers.
Oh, okay. That's what did it.
Yeah, that's what like I was like, wow, I want to be the person who has an involvement in putting these massive buildings up. So when I came
Oh,
back
okay. I
to
got it.
yeah, when I came back to university, I was like, I want to get into real estate
Hmm.
when I finish university. So finished university, right away went into working for a real estate office as just an admin person, and really residential real estate sales, dabbled in that a bit. And what I learned, I was only about 20, my early 20s. And what I learned was I was too young. I didn't have, I couldn't convince buyers and sellers to trust me with their properties,
Hmm.
basically. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I got my so my sales, I realized my sales career was basically short-lived because of that. And really what I wanted to do was be in property development. That was really the goal. I just went into sales to get myself in the industry.
Right.
What I wanted to be was like in development to develop these massive, buildings.
Hmm.
So from a couple years in a real estate office, and then moved on to a real estate development job working for an affordable development company. So
Oh,
they
wow.
were they were in Agora Hills, which is about an hour north of Los Angeles.
And this was an affordable housing developer that just did local stuff, or did they do more nationwide?
Local stuff in California and they had a couple projects nationally, but
Hmm.
only when I was there, mostly in California.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so they got, the affordable housing grant, and they built brand new buildings, lots of them, and that was an amazing experience. But then so I was there for a couple years, but I yearned for that. And we were basically in the suburbs, it was like very, the vibe wasn't that fast paced.
You still wanted to build
I
skyscrapers.
still wanted to build a freaking high rise. So then I moved to a company called J.H. Snyder, which is
Hmm.
a bigger developer in Los Angeles, and they did a lot more commercial properties, shopping centers, commercial properties, condos, totally what I envisioned being in Miracle Mile, which is like a very hustle and bustle of Los Angeles with
Hmm.
like the Oprah and studio was across the road, like SAG, was upstairs from us.
Wow.
I had an office that overlooked the Hollywood sign, like
Dude.
it was amazing. And there I was able to finally work on my high-rise building. I was there for about 3 years. And the only reason why I left that company was to move to Australia, because I met my husband like the third year I was there. But before I left for Australia, I basically got them a certificate of occupancy for a 27 level condo. So I kind of I ticked that. So
cross that off the bucket list.
I helped project manage that building from entitlement all the way to certificate of occupancy. So now every time I drive by that high rise, I'm like, I helped put that up, and it's such a accomplishing thing.
Did that experience feel like it accomplished your dream? Was it like exactly what you expected, or was it harder, tougher?
No, it wasn't. It was, what it told me was whatever I put my mind to, I could accomplish. That was literally from my journey to going to Hong Kong to that, because Hong Kong was another thing, wanting to study in a foreign country. So all these dreams that I had in my head, I started ticking off. And then I was like, whoa, this is crazy. If I just put my mind to it, visualize it, and basically take little steps towards that direction, it kind of like unravels. And then I eventually get there. So that reaffirmed the idea of being able to have faith in the dream process. You know what I mean?
Manifest your destiny, right?
100%. 100%.
But you weren't like, it wasn't like, I have to do this the whole time. You weren't like, oh, I need to just keep developing more skyscrapers. You got through that process, and you're like, oh, I mean, I like doing this, but there's probably maybe more I can do, or something else I can do on my own.
Yeah, look, I'm very goal oriented, but at the same time, I like to also sort of like take leaps and kind of just see where I land. You know what I mean? Like I'm open to possibilities, essentially. So once I tick that box, coming to Australia, I definitely wanted to maintain the continue being in property development, but I came to Adelaide. So my husband, who I met in a West Hollywood bar, is from Adelaide. So if we rewind to the beginning of the story of how my parents were sponsored to come to Australia in Adelaide.
Those were your two choices, and just randomly you met somebody from Adelaide. I met
somebody when I was 29 years old that took me back to Adelaide, right? So,
and you already had family there.
I can't help but to think that it was my destiny to be in Adelaide, right? Because now, so coming to Adelaide, definitely wanted to pursue a career in property development, but it's a smaller city here in Australia.
There's no skyscape in Adelaide?
No, I mean, not many, not many. So it was very challenging, but I managed to get a job with he was like a small boutique developer who was also in student accommodation.
Oh, interesting.
So so I spent a few years there and really still had that dream of having my own business one day. And eventually, back in about 2018 was when I realized that there was a gap in the market here in Australia for good marshmallows. Because when I moved here,
where does that come from? I mean, have you always liked marshmallows, or did you just were buying marshmallows to make s'mores for a trip one time after coming back from the US, and you're like, oh, in the US they have more. Why is that not here? Or
so back to growing up in a entrepreneurial family, my mindset was always opportunities. How do I look for opportunity? What's an opportunity? What is lacking in the market? So that's how my mind is wired. So when I bought marshmallows from the supermarket here, there was only one brand, and it was just very chalky and not fluffy and
can last for a year or whatever, and it still tastes the same. Yeah,
puffs or whatever they call it.
And so then I just thought I should just make my own marshmallow. I'll just Google YouTube and see what's out there. And I also like cooking as a hobby for me. So I actually love being in the kitchen.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a huge,
Right. You entertain and make desserts and stuff.
exactly. So for my son's first birthday, I decided we live so in Adelaide, we live on a 50-acre farm. Absolutely
Nice.
different lifestyle to Los Angeles, which is the reason why I wanted to make that move. So we live on a beautiful property, and so my son's birthday is in winter, so I thought I'll do a woodland themed party and then treat my guests to some homemade marshmallows. So I made raspberry marshmallow using like real raspberry puree and gourmeting it up basically. And it was delicious, and the guests loved it. And then that light bulb moment went off in my head, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, these marshmallows, they are like the ingredient cost is really low. They are
what, sugar,
I can
gelatin?
sugar, gelatin, and whatever flavor that you want to add to it. It was sustainable as in durable, like it would like with the donut shop, my parents threw out donuts every
Every
night.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge
So
loss.
huge loss. So then with the marshmallow, long shelf life, so much sugar in there as preservative that's long shelf life. There's no baking, so there's no flour in there to go off, no eggs to go off. You know what I mean?
Don't have to have the ovens, don't have to have as much electricity.
No oven, exactly. So it started ticking all the boxes for me. And then the biggest thing was I was like, you know what? I think this is scalable because in food, you have to think of like, is this scalable or not? Can you reproduce this in a mass, production environment?
Right. You imagine that those marshmallow companies have some ridiculously huge machine, right? That like just pumps them out and cuts them and cuts them. But it doesn't seem like you have that, $50,000
I
machine.
don't have that. And what I'm with gourmet marshmallow that you make without those, they use these massive extrusion machines, right? For
extrudes it and cuts it or whatever.
Yep. And it's like a one continuous line manufacturing process. So the process that we're making for these gourmet marshmallow, because we're adding so much different flavor to it, we actually have to make it with a large mix, like a mixer, and then put it into trays to set and then cut and decorate, right?
Right.
So it's a different process to extrusion machine marshmallows. So I almost want to call it its own category. Like I'm on a mission to grow the gourmet marshmallow niche. And
right. It's almost like those candy shops. I could see that you could have like your factory that's also the display where people are looking through the glass and watching you make it or whatever.
Yeah.
You could.
Oh, that's definitely. You
could sell them. Yeah, I can see that.
100%. Yeah.
Interesting. So that's where you are now. I mean, and if you get Googled, you made it to Costco just recently, right? So talk about that deal and what that means when you go from actually let's talk about that a little bit. How did you get from kids' birthday party to like selling wholesale?
So I started my journey just at farmer markets and stuff, having a stall, selling to just local Adelaide people. And then COVID happens, and and this is where I met you, Jordan, too. So essentially you helped me. In 2020, I went all in on cloud theory and quit my job literally 2 weeks before COVID hit. And Jordan helped me get I had a property back in California that I took a equity out of the property to.
It's small too, right? I feel like it was less than $50,000, maybe like 30 grand or something like that.
Yeah, we did about I think it's about 50,000 from 50,000 from that property.
Okay.
And you literally closed that for me 2 weeks before COVID hit. And when I think back to it, I was like, if we did it after COVID, it wouldn't have happened. People would not have for me being in another country, and it wouldn't have ever happened. So when I look backwards,
but to me, like COVID hits, you've got the farmers market, and suddenly you're like, oh shit, like this is where I sell. Yeah. So how did you
figure it was another blessing in disguise where it propelled me to take the business online. So now instead of having just the Adelaide market, I am open to Australia nationally. And what I do is I run Facebook ads to market my product, because who's going to Google gourmet marshmallow? No one. It's a new product. Nobody knows about it.
Right.
So I have to run ads to really get people to impulse purchase these products that they've never seen before, but it looks so aesthetically pleasing and tasty that they want to try it. Right. So that is how I started.
You just made it happen with like Facebook ads, word of mouth, Instagram,
word of mouth, Instagram, social. So I always say that this business only could happen in this age of technology. Like if we didn't have social media, gourmet marshmallows would never be a thing, right? Unless some massive company took it on.
Yeah. And, I'm curious. I mean, seems like you had equity in your property. How did you know how much to take? How did you estimate I need $30,000 to start my business?
I feel like I don't remember exactly. I feel like you're like, hey, I've got this like business plan if you want to show it to your underwriter. And I was like the underwriter.
They don't want to see it. It's going to make it worse.
I feel like you can find out. Maybe I'm misremembering, but how did you figure that part out?
We kind of just took out the most that we could take out, Jordan, and I sort of just thought there was no really strategy behind it. It was just like, I'm going to take out as much money as I could. And for me, it was like a calculated risk, as in, if I lose the 50, I still have if I lose 50, it's not impacting my family, like my husband and my kids, because it's my property that I've invested in. And then I still have the property, I sell it.
Still have the property with still breaking even or whatever. Yeah.
100%. So it wasn't like I was putting my personal, investment or my family's in jeopardy with our financial situation. So that then helped me grow Cloud Theory enough to attract. So that 50 grand really, helped me grow Cloud Theory enough to attract an investor. Right. So I attracted an investor who then had, with the investor, it was a strategic partnership for me in the fact that it was more of what they could help me with in relationships to like having a commercial kitchen, being able to store, cool rooms and warehousing to store the products, and then kind of connection relationships of where who can I meet and build relationships with to grow Cloud Theory. So I took that more into consideration than say the financial, like how much money is this investor putting into the business.
It was more like what their network was bringing you.
Yeah, because honestly, if I took the financial part, I would then have to go build out a kitchen, which then would take an extra 1 to 2 years to really get the business going. Whereas with the investment that I got, they had an existing commercial kitchen that I stepped into right away. Everything set up. You understand what I mean? When
really?
Yeah.
So it was more than just the money and equity that they were going to be taking on. You wanted the access to their facilities and everything. I was going to ask in terms of like finding an investor, because we haven't had a lot of business owners. Well, most of our people have been business owners in terms of real estate,
but more like real estate. Yeah.
Yeah. But with this business, obviously, when you're attracting an investor, how do you kind of figure out how much equity they should take of your business for?
That is the hard bit. When you have a brand that's not established yet and you can't value it except based on its potential, right? There's no, if they looked at my books, it would be worth nothing, right? So I had to partner with someone who understood the potential of the brand and was willing to take a risk on that. And in exchange for that, I gave up I still have majority, but I gave up a good portion, because in addition to that, I wanted someone who was going to grow with me no matter what, not just, you get what I'm saying? Like they've got as much of a stake in it as I do.
Right. Someone that allows you to maybe keep multiplying and keep moving it up.
Yep. And I wasn't concerned for me, because if you think about it, your business can grow. You could get an investment or a partnership that can grow you to say, like you have 70% of the business, but you could grow it to 5 million, Or you can have, say, 50% of the business, but your partner could grow you to 100 million.
Which
You
one's
know,
better? Yeah, right.
I had the faith and confidence that I could grow the business, the brand with the right partnership. So the money, the percentage didn't matter to me. You get what I'm
Right.
saying? I had faith in myself that I can grow this brand to be a multi-million-dollar brand one day. So I wanted to know what we had to align in our values. We had to align in our vision for the future, where I had to have someone who truly, truly believed that Cloud Theory could be a global brand one day. So I had to take all that into consideration. And so in addition to partnering up with my investor, is the catalyst to get into Costco, because they had the relationship with a distributor who had an awesome relationship with Costco. Mind you, I didn't know this going in. I didn't know this going in that Costco was on the table at all. It was
at that point, were you already in some of your local grocery stores, or
just a handful of grocery stores? Yeah.
And what kind of so let's say I'm just making jam or something like that. And what kind of volume, when you're in a couple of small local grocery stores, do they demand? Because you have to kind of scale up at a certain speed, right? There's only so many marshmallows you can make by yourself with your small mixer at home and your cutter.
Yep.
So what does that kind of volume look like? And then so moving from small grocery store from farmer's market to small grocery store, how much increase in volume is that?
Yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't huge. It was higher, but it was manageable because
you can still do it at home. But then moving to Costco, what kind of volume?
So there was an interim period between so online and
online. I forgot about online.
And farmers market I was doing from home. But then I transitioned to a cellar door, like a winery cellar door kitchen, because I have, in my area where I live, there's lots of wineries. And because of COVID, they had to shut down their cellar door. So I
out their space,
and that allowed me to scale up to go into the local retail stores, right? Like a handful, like 7 or 8 of them.
Okay.
And then that's where the investor came in. And then I moved into a proper production commercial kitchen, where there's like, I don't know the square footage, but massive cool rooms. And that is why we were able to then go into Costco. And what I've done is I've leapfrogged from small retailers straight to a international retailer like Costco, right? But the ease of it is, what's great about it is dealing with Costco is actually so much easier than dealing with a whole bunch of small retailers, right? Because now you just have one customer that is ordering volumes from you, but it's so streamlined. It's just one delivery.
How much of your business is Costco now compared to all the other stuff that you had set up?
Huge. I say now Costco is about 60% of our revenue. Yeah. Online is about
You've been there for just a couple months, right?
Yep, just a couple months. It's a crazy growth, like just massive. I think it would be hard for any other kind of product, but our product, like I said from the beginning, is scalable. And it's one of those products where you don't need, like, say, making other like desserts, like sweets, such as cupcakes, cookies. You kind of need someone who's got some experience in baking. Whereas with marshmallow, it's really step-by-step procedures of what you like. If you're just precise with the ingredients you put in and the steps, and you just have a little bit of like, you can train people quickly to do it, and they don't have to have any kind of background.
So at this point, are you completely out of production now?
Myself, yes. Like I'm barely in the kitchen hands-on anymore.
Awesome.
It's so nice. Like, so now I get to just come up with I love to come up with the new creations, new flavors, but I let my team handle everything else. So sorry. so yeah, no, it's nice now because now I get to work on the business instead of in the business.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so a lot of my day-to-day activity now is marketing, it's product development, it's just growing the business.
Great. And so when you say you're in Costco, is it just in Australia? Oh no, yeah, is it just in Australia? Or have
At the
you...
moment, yeah, there's 16 Costco's here in Australia, so it's manageable, right?
Yeah.
Our goal is 100% to try to get to the US. I just think the US audience would resonate with with cloud theory so much. Um, and so I'm hoping that we can prove ourselves here at Australia Costco and hopefully get the opportunity to present
I
to the
mean, it
Costco.
seems like that they're kind of looking at the sales data, right? So if you have X number, if you sell out of your product X number of months in a row, right, at Costco, then like at least that's in my limited experience. When I see something happen at one Costco, it'll start migrating to the other Costco's over time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So if your product performs well, they'll continue taking you on. And the thing about Costco is sometimes it's very seasonal. Like they might take you for only a period of time.
Mm.
You probably notice that at
Like your
Costco, like
s'mores package or whatever for the summer, it
yeah,
goes crazy or
for a
something
period
like
of
that.
time.
Yeah.
So the beauty of our brand is we do so much design, so many different themes we can get into that
Mhm.
we can continue presenting to Costco sort of new ideas, new flavors, you know what I mean?
So I'm
So
assuming you
hope
do. Oh, sorry. So I'm assuming you do like seasonal, like Thanksgiving. You do like pumpkin pie flavored, and maybe
yeah,
Christmas is,
yeah.
I don't know, mint, or I don't know what the flavors for Christmas are, but
Gingerbread, peppermint, yes,
Gingerbread. Yeah, there we go.
and
Candy
that's really
cane.
what I love most about the brand is the ability for us to just continuously create nonstop, and so and for the customer too, is that experience there. If once they buy a product and they really like it, the next time a new theme or flavor comes out, they're more, I would think, they're more ready excited to try the next thing. And so it keeps the brand really fresh, I feel like.
Totally.
uh, I'm curious. Are you potentially interested in opening a brick and mortar store to sell your products like directly, like on a street?
Yeah, I would. If I do a brick and mortar, it would be purely for marketing because I feel like I've got PTSD from growing up in a donut shop that was my parents open 24
You
hours.
don't want to depend on retail. You just
No,
don't, right? Like,
exactly. I just know the amount of work that it goes into a brick and mortar, the time, the commitment that you have to put to the being there. So as much as I can, I want to work on the model of e-com and kind of wholesale, like retailers, having other retailers carry my product. Because I think there's more reach. But the brick and mortar is really for the full experience of cloud theory. Like
yeah, the
my
making process
vision.
is really beautiful. Like looking at your Instagram page, I can just sit
Oh
there and watch you
yeah.
cut them. Like it looks so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Like this vision that I have in my mind is having like say like an awesome uh store in like the Bellagio or something, right? In Vegas,
Oh yeah.
Mm.
where tourists can come and see us make these beautiful, elegant, aesthetically pleasing marshmallow, and it will like you said, Jordan, have windows where people can actually see it being made, poured, cut, decorated by hand, and they can select we would have like 40 different flavors. You go up there, you just pick a dozen, you can pick all the different flavors. So I'm all like implementing my experience of being in the donut shop
Mhm.
of, we used to do a baker's dozen donuts that customers can pick and choose what they want. And now kind of using that experience for cloud theory, so for 100%, I definitely want to one day have a brick and mortar, but purely for the experience, showing people just the dreaminess of the brand and the magicalness.
Kind of like Din Tai Fung. They have that big window where you can see them make all the
Yep.
dumplings.
Yeah,
Yep.
totally.
Yep. I
So
actually have
talk
that
to,
on my vision board, the
uh,
image of them.
yeah, I mean, talking about a great business model. So tell me about your like kind of employee situation. And you mentioned I always, whenever someone talks about me like getting back into if I want to get back in the restaurant business, and I'm like, only if I could do a business where I can train a 14-year-old to do the work, right? So
Yeah.
talk to me about your like employee. How many employees do you have, and like is that number like are you having to keep hiring, and how? I don't know what the labor market is over there and
Yeah.
how easy it is to keep on employees.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had to basically, well, I have 15 employees now, and I literally hired like I think like 10 in the span of like 2 weeks,
Jeez.
prepared for Costco.
Yeah.
But I've just been so fortunate to have hired the right people because for Cloud Theory, I'm trying to build a culture where everyone understands that our product is all about bringing people joy and delighting them. And I really feel like it starts from the people making the product, right? So I need joyful, positive people with good attitudes to be making these products.
Mm.
So that was the criteria that I had when taking on new employees, and and being really religious about that. The fact that they had to have that kind of personality to work here, and I feel like we've been successful at doing that so far. And another thing is a majority of my, like a big um, group of my employees are they're students from South America here learning, learning English. And
Yep.
Australia has a large international student population here. Like they're one of their largest export is education.
Really. So not just in like the bigger cities, it's also in the medium and smaller sized towns.
Yeah, because what happened is like places like the smaller regional places like Adelaide, they're incentivized to be here so that they can help um, the economy, grow the employment market, and so they actually have a better chance of getting a visa if they come to the more smaller places.
Interesting.
You understand?
Yeah.
So them, I've just been really lucky because a lot of them are very uh like super educated, and like they've gone to university to learn production management, engineering, but they come to Australia and it's they've got to take like just more like restaurant jobs, production jobs, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I've kind of got um this like the skill set of people who are just super intelligent, but they're willing to kind of get a step in the door with working in production, like in a production environment like mine.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I hope that I don't expect them to be with me forever, but I appreciate the time that they spend with me. What I want to do for them in exchange is to really help grow them in their personal development side so that they can eventually go out there to the Australian market and get themselves really good jobs, you know?
I always found that was when I worked in the in the food industry and hospitality. I always found that like growth and like moving up was just really verticality was really hard to find in that world. How do you implement that into a workplace and make a kind of like fun work culture that intelligent people that are hard workers are interested in when it's like, I mean, a lot of the jobs are just, pouring sugar, mixing, and like production based. How do you add that verticality element?
Well, what I've done right now is I've anyone who came in with a more advanced say background degree, I am watching them to see what they're good at, because some of them could be great at marketing, some of them could be great at graphic design, some of them could be great at Facebook ads, but I don't know that because they've come in for a job in the kitchen.
Right.
But as I get to know them better, I'm learning, wow, they've got skills that are beyond just being in the kitchen. And when I recognize it, I give them an opportunity
Oh.
to try, like to try something like, for example, one of the girls who I hired for fulfillment, picking and packing orders.
Yep.
I learned that she was, her background was in production, and she knew how to do graphic design. And so I gave her a few projects, and now she has moved on to become my full-time graphic designer.
Interesting. So for those, instead of like hiring out like your logo design and all that stuff, you just hire among your current talent.
Yep. Because what I'm doing is I realize that the people who are applying for my kitchen position actually have way higher level of expertise than what they applied for. But they're applying for these jobs because of their limited English. So they can't really go get a marketing job anywhere else. Right. So I'm capitalizing on the just looking at their skill set and talent, and then now giving them an opportunity. So as long as they can show me that they've got other skills, so they can start in the kitchen, but if they can show me that they've got other skills, I am happy to give them a chance, because right now we're growing so much that there's so many positions available in the upper sort of skill set positions.
Yeah, and I was going to say too, in terms of building good company culture, like sometimes it's important to know how it is to start at the very bottom and to move up, because you know what it takes to do those roles. And when they become managers, they'll obviously, they'll have that connect between being a manager and managing these people and remembering what that role entails.
Absolutely. Just like Viviana, who I just talked about, because she started in fulfillment. Now she, in addition to helping me with graphic design, she's working out my production process, giving us more a structure. And because she's been in the role of fulfilling orders from the ground up, she knows exactly what is required. So you're right, Stephen. Definitely.
Yeah, no, I mean, like the way they have the CEOs sometimes, I don't know, some of these fast food chains go and, work the drive-through window.
Yeah. It's just so, if you hire someone who's so disconnected from the actual day-to-day of the business, it's not the same. You definitely need to find someone who's been there, but then has the intelligence and skill set level to move up.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I mean, I'm excited to see where the company goes from here. I mean, do you have a 5-year game plan?
Yeah, besides getting into every Costco in the US, in addition to Australia, what else is on the 5-year plan?
Yeah, well, in addition to having consumer goods, we want to branch, like ready-made consumer goods, we want to branch out to mixes and kits. That's really my next step. And what I'm super
That's even easier
about.
To ship, right? Yeah.
I'm really easier to ship, and the number one reason is I want to share
for bread
the satisfaction of making marshmallows, and I really want to make it become a mainstream hobby that people start doing at home, right? And I really feel that people are just not they think that it's so. When people think of marshmallow, they have no idea even where to begin on how to make it. And I want to make it so easy and accessible that anyone would give it a go. And I would have kits that, if you see the different designs on my website, I want to give the people at home the opportunity to make the same thing for like their kid's birthday party and feel the joy and satisfaction of producing something so magical, and you can eat it. And there's just so many things about it that
it seems kid friendly too, right? Like you're not gonna risk burning yourself, right? It's pretty much dump the ingredients in a mixer and
like it ticks all the boxes of fun family activity, giving and what I've learned about my product is people always think that it's for children, like marshmallows, but my target audience is I'm targeting the inner child in adults, right? I'm wanting to bring out that inner child in them. And so I find that my audience are mostly, adult women between the ages of like 24 to 40. That's like my sweet spot right there.
I mean, I saw that little s'more kit and I was like, hey, Steven, come over here. Because I saw that little like $8 s'more kit
Oh,
that
it
you were
was delicious.
advertising. And it's like, dude, that looks like a Dunkaroo except for
And yeah, so
except for
that's what I did with
s'mores.
the s'mores kit. Like, so I love innovating. I love
Yeah.
so like with I thought, okay, instead of getting a piece of chocolate, I'm just gonna dip the marshmallow in chocolate already. So then when you roast it, you don't have, you know how when you make
You're always
s'mores,
fumbling around and dropping the chocolate on the ground.
yes,
And
and
my kids are already
the
just making
chocolate
a
never
huge mess.
melts,
Yeah, and the chocolate doesn't
right?
exactly.
Now you roast it all on the marshmallow. The chocolate's on the marshmallow already. You put it between the biscuit. It's such a more simple process. So, and then in addition to that, I had my toasting sticks. So my goal in 5 years is to dominate the global market, become the gourmet marshmallow brand that everyone talks about, with a range of product that from toasting sticks to a marshmallow cutter to trays to sprinkles, everything that someone would need to make beautiful marshmallows.
Yeah, I saw that marshmallow kit. So how does that part work for like the manufacturing? Do you just like get some company that will build that for you and then you just put your branding on it, or?
Yeah, so there's multiple ways we can do it. We can either source individually all the components in the kit and then put it together ourselves, or we can actually hire, just contract a manufacturer overseas to do it. Right now it's we're doing the costings. We're going through and weighing the two options out and seeing which one works, to be able to scale. Like, what's the best way to get the product out worldwide, not just in Australia? And with that, the kit side, we're able to do that. Whereas with the consumable product, it's a lot harder. The logistics of, trying to ship a fresh product is a lot harder.
Yeah, if you wanna sell to US Costco, do you have to have a manufacturing place here in
That's
the
the
US,
idea.
basically? Yeah.
If Costco gave us a go, we would set up shop in the US and produce from there. There's just no Australia. It's just not viable to produce it from here, ship it. It's just not viable.
Makes sense.
But I know that if I could do it here, I could do it over there.
For sure. So switching gears here, let's go back to real estate. So you bought that condo back in the day and you leveraged that. Do you have other real estate holdings in the US, or is it just Australia?
No, not at the moment, but I like one kind of regret I had is, so we bought that property in Fresno during the GFC when remember all the banks were foreclosing and selling property super cheap. My parents had said to me, buy up 3 or 4, because they were literally going for like 60 grand to 80 grand each for a like 3-bedroom house. It was crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But I was afraid of managing all those properties from overseas. I just felt like I couldn't handle it. But now looking back, should have done it. So now I haven't, just because all my time and effort has gone into cloud theory. But 100% I will, the moment I start being able to invest, property will always be my number one investment vehicle. I've just, I'm kind of old school. I don't know about you, Stephen, but having Asian parents are not into the stock market. They want they want something
Real
tangible.
asset. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I love my real estate too. I got my portfolio, so I totally get it.
And then the ultimate dream is to go full circle to doing development one day, to going back to once I, because I still love the property market. For me, it's all about it's having that building something that will just like the brand for Cloud there, building something that will outlast me. I could be gone, but that building, that shopping center, that will still be there,
You're going to go from developing a skyscraper to owning the skyscraper.
Yeah, 100%. One day.
So if someone else that was listening to this podcast was like, interested in starting a business of their own, what would you like recommend in terms of like getting started in that realm?
Yeah, I definitely think one, you must find something you're passionate about, because burnout is real. And if you're only doing something for the money, it's going to wear out so quickly, and you just won't have the stamina to stay in it. Because for me, I'm so passionate about the product. I am willing to wake up at 3:30 in the morning. I'm willing to sacrifice not watching Netflix. I'm willing to do weekends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So one, if you go into business, find a product or a business that you're truly passionate about. Two, continue growing yourself. You need to listen to business podcasts, read books. Just self-development is everything. And for me, business is a vehicle for self-mastery. It forces me to become better every day. And that's why I love it so much. So if you're a person who loves growing and challenging yourself, yeah, go into business. Three, have a positive mindset. You need to continuously believe in yourself, have faith, and just take little actions to get you there. And I always think that I believe that the size of your success, or how successful you can become, is really contingent upon how uncomfortable you're willing to get. The more uncomfortable you're willing to get, the more success to be had. So always don't be afraid to be outside of your comfort zone, because that's really the way you grow. You just have to keep inching out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, that's why we do this podcast.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. And if people are looking to get a hold of you or, learn more about Cloud Theory, how could they find you?
Yeah, so you can visit our website, which is cloudtheory.com.au for the full experience. But then we have cloudtheorymarshmallows.com for the US. And then you can email us at hello@cloudtheory.com.au. And
your Instagram page. We'll link your Instagram page.
Absolutely. Social. Can't forget about that. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok a little bit. And then speaking about getting out of your comfort zone, my next step is also starting a YouTube channel. So with the kit, to be able to basically have a channel that teaches people all things marshmallows, so that they too can experience things we're doing here at Cloud Theory.
I love that.
I love it.
Well, thanks so much, May. We really appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to seeing you at our local Costco.
No worries at all. I hope to be there soon too. Thank you.
Yeah, have a great day.
Thank you.